continue watching the video, I'd like to first mention to our audience that there will be spoilers in this video. Your spoiler alert. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Making the Rounds, and tonight we're making the rounds with Mr. Fusion.
Hello everybody, hello.
And we also are making the rounds with Mr. Wartburg.
Good evening.
Before we go ahead and get right into it, I'd like to tell everyone that we're going to be making the rounds of Luke Cage. This has been something I've been wanting to do for a little while now, and I've gathered up the boys to do it, so I'm just going to get into the synopsis, and I'm going to pass the baton off to Mr. Fusion. So,
all right, let's start with this. This is Marvel and Netflix third collaboration of what's going to be leading up to next year's The Defenders. And look, Daredevil was amazing. Jessica Jones had its detractors, but it also has its good aspects. Luke Cage, I'm going to say it, and people may not like this, but they hit it out of the park. But for me, my biggest complaint was it was paced a little slow. Okay, it has it just like the other two shows. It has its arcs every couple. It has like a 3 or 4 episode arc, just like a comic book works. And then there's also an end game, a subplot that carries along through the entire season. That there's an end game too. Music was great. Acting and casting, unbelievable. Like I said, the pace for me was a little slow. I think had it just been maybe a click or two faster in terms of the storytelling, I would have enjoyed it. But then again, you have 13 episodes, so you're kind of you have to spread it out. It's fine. Mike Colter, unbelievable Luke Cage. He was the perfect casting for Luke Cage. The music, Adrian Young and Ali Shahid Muhammad. They stressed this. Look, we're taking back the blackness of Harlem, and we're going to make it interesting. And they did a good job with this. And a lot of people don't like this. And of course, a lot of racists didn't like it because they said, okay, it's all about, the black culture. Look, this is just an aspect of Marvel that they've been doing for several years now, where they're progressing their characters, modernizing them, and making them interesting. And not just the white hero, the black, the female. It all started, for me, I think the big turning point was when Carol Danvers became Captain Marvel in the comics, and trust me, Allie Brie is Allie Brie?
I thought it was Alison Brie.
Alison Brie, going to be a great Captain Marvel. But as for Luke Cage, the thing that I really loved the most was, in this Marvel universe, it has its elements of the cinematic universe, but at the same time, it focused on just Luke Cage and his closeness to being a man. On top of that, there was a little bit of a political agenda with, the Trayvon Martin hoodie thing was kind of a backdrop throughout the season. The good thing about it wasn't like the last season of Orange is the New Black, where it was a serious political statement from start to finish, which you found kind of annoying because it dragged down the character progression. That wasn't the case with Luke Cage. I'm very excited for what's going to happen next, which is Iron Fist, because Luke Cage was a perfect setup. Had we gone from Jessica Jones into the Defenders or Jessica Jones into Iron Fist, wouldn't have liked it too much. I thought the pace of Jessica Jones kind of leaves you to where, okay, now we're going to jump into the mystical world, which was kind of set up, if you didn't notice, in Season 2 of Daredevil. All of those elements are sprinkled in within Luke Cage, and then, of course, the origin story was interesting. I felt it was a little too simplified. We have all these superheroes that have these great backstories or great origins in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Luke Cage is a little simplified. That they used, I think it was fish DNA. I think I'm just going to spoil everybody. Fish DNA.
Yeah. Huge spoilers ahead.
Okay.
We can go.
I should have asked that. We can just spoil away, right?
Yeah, we can spoil away.
Okay.
I'll have a spoiler word.
It's fucking fish DNA.
Our meat. It's gonna spoil.
It's fucking fish DNA. That's what makes him indestructible.
Well, I thought it was like DNA from like mussels.
Yeah.
Is it mussels?
Yeah.
Is it the muscle of the fish?
Like what made the shell?
Like the clam, the mussels, the
yeah, it makes the shell.
Shellfish.
Okay.
Yeah,
So sea life. He's indestructible due to sea life. Maybe let me make it a little simpler.
And an acid bath that like stripped away his skin.
Yeah, that was kind of cool when you really watched
Which
it. Was
it
cool.
didn't work like acid when they did it.
No,
though.
exactly. It should have been, yeah, because when he's dipped in acid, you're like, okay, what's supposed to happen is not happening. So
Because stuff clearly
I
got on
guess-
the wood, and the wood didn't like disintegrate immediately.
exactly.
So,
Go ahead.
so Fusion, we don't do it, like numbers because like art's subjective or whatever.
Sure.
But like, would you recommend Luke Cage to a friend?
Yeah, I recommended it to you.
Yeah, I remember this.
So he's saying he
did.
doesn't
Watched it.
view himself as a friend.
No. This is just for the audience.
There's some behind-the-scenes drama, people.
I would recommend it to a friend. Now, here's the thing with Luke Cage. It's probably of the Marvel products the least Marvel-y. If that sounds cheesy to say it, but it's probably right because it's more of a Netflix drama that has it's almost like they took Captain America: The Winter Soldier and turned that, it kind of gave that mood into a TV series.
But didn't stick the
I
landing as much for me.
No, the landing was stuck. Yes.
Well, no, this one I don't think it stuck the landing super
Oh,
well.
okay. I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. Warburg, would you like to get into your review if you're finished, Mr. Fusion?
Yeah, I'm done. Go for
Sure.
it. Go for it.
Okay. Now, for me, much like Fusion, I think it is definitely on the bottom rung of the kind of Marvel Netflix universe that they've got going on here. But it's not to say it's bad. It's just not like Daredevil was fucking great.
Yeah.
In even season 2, which was not as good as season 1, still qualifies as great. Even though it was really
Season 2
even though it was really 2
saved
seasons.
because of the Punisher.
It was 2 seasons in one. Because
Yeah.
they didn't. I doubt they thought the Punisher was going to be that popular, so it felt kind of tacked on. But they still nailed it
Yeah.
because of John Bernthal, and he was
Yeah.
awesome. But Luke Cage, for me, the best part of the show is the first 7 episodes. You know, you have your, like as Fusion said, the arc, his like, you get introduced to Luke Cage and like how he views the world and how he just wants to go about his thing, and then you see him, the process by which he decides to actually do shit and actually become Luke Cage, the superhero. And that was really well done. His relationships to the people around him was awesome. Misty Knight was awesome.
Yes.
And she went like full comic book there at the end, which was cool. And the villains in the first 7, the bad guys in the first 7 episodes, are far better than the last like 6, just because they have such an interesting relationship with each other. Like, you can feel the history between them when they're like all talking to each other and making their plans, and like it all just kind of makes sense why one person does one thing. And then shit hits the fan in a really, really well done kind of like mid-season, this is the last, like, this is the drop, from here on it's all going down thing in episode 7 with what is her name, the politician? I'm blanking on her name.
Crap.
I know her. She's a
name
big
now.
name to have
No, she's been in a lot of movies.
into having like a episodic
Waller?
show. Yeah, she played.
Suicide Squad?
No, that's Viola Davis. That's a different.
Okay.
I think.
She was she Waller in Green Lantern though?
Yeah, that's who it was.
Alfred Woodard.
Yeah, that's her. She's a pretty big name
I
to
think
have.
I think she was in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. I think she was Amanda Waller.
Which was the worst version of Amanda Waller. Oh my god, so bad. The whole movie just needs to be wiped from existence. So bad.
That movie made me
Except
so
for
mad.
Abin Sur. They nailed Abin Sur, but other than that, the fuck. Anyway.
Strong was a great Sinestro.
Oh yeah,
Come on now.
But let's not diverge here too much. So yeah, those first 7 episodes, fantastic. I mean, I would honestly put that on par with first season of Daredevil. And then you get introduced to Claire Temple, or reintroduced to Claire Temple. She's like basically night nurse without being night nurse, and because they for some reason decide she can't use the name. Like, they're really going to use that character in the fucking movies. Stupid. Like, they were all set to do it in Daredevil season 1 that we're just going to call her that. Even put on the damn costume, basically. And they were like, last second, we can't call it. Shades of Arrow, last second not being able to use Harley Quinn. Stupid move. And she's a little bit better served than she has been in most of the other shows. She actually got some character development. And, like, actually was around for more than one episode and 5 minutes in each episode, which was nice to see, especially if she's going to be their like Phil Coulson go-between between all the different shows. And the villain for me in the back part, his half brother, didn't really do it for me at all. Like, I never felt any kind of connection to him, because you don't even find out how he's related to him until two episodes after he shows up. And I was always reminded of. I watched the 100, and they have this bad guy in their third season, and he's just an asshole, and you just hate him. You're like, I hate him, and I hate this character. I hate that it exists. Like, it makes no sense for the story. Totally came out of left field, and because it's just not grounded in anything that came before, and you don't see how he got to where he is. He just exists, and I don't like characters like that, especially in this kind of like episodic drama that, you know, one thing leads to the next. You know, like, stuff just doesn't happen. There's a reason, and he just didn't do that for me until the very end, the final episode, much like the 100 did, where we got flashbacks of the character before where he was in the show, but it came way too late. And for me, the show didn't, you know, land on its feet, you know, as the other two series, 3 seasons of Marvel's Netflix journey so far have done. But I did have a thing to bring up, Fusion. You said, like, his, like, whole how he got his powers thing was, like, simple. It just clicked. I wonder if they're gonna have, you know, like, Nuke from Jessica Jones, the Micro, like that CD that Punisher had, like, clearly he was working for some Black Ops people, and Luke Cage's, like, experiment are all gonna tie together. Which,
They have to.
Which would be super awesome, because if they don't, it's like, that's a major missed opportunity.
I would think and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, with the Defenders, you're gonna learn the tie-in with all of them, and it's gonna involve Sigourney Weaver's character.
Yeah,
Watch.
she's going to be definitely involved in the government somehow, I think.
Yep.
Because it can't be the Hand, because you're going to have that in Daredevil and in Iron Fist. So it can't be that. And Jessica Jones doesn't have any villains to pull from. So
No.
because all her villains are other people's villains. She's like Green Arrow, or Marvel's Green Arrow.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, that'll be super interesting. But all in all, I still love the show. Acting, music, the setting, the storytelling structure. It was shot beautifully. It was a really, really well done production. It was just that the ending just kind of stuck out to me and just kind of kept it from being great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Warburg, would you recommend this
fuck
to
yeah.
a friend?
Are you kidding me?
'Cause
I watch like nine
yeah.
9 TV shows a week. I recommend all the shit to people.
That's awesome. It's great to hear.
This is a good one where if you want to catch some of Marvel's stuff, but you don't want to get overthrown by the movies with the super over-the-top superheroes, just like Jessica Jones, this is a good one. My wife has watched all of the MCU with me, and she likes it to a certain extent, but she gets overwhelmed by all the action. She loved Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
She loved it.
I'd say, yeah.
And she loved Luke Cage.
Yeah. And to me, they all fit a different style, you know? Like, this one was, you know, like, the hero's journey, but more, like, from a fighter's angle, you know?
Yeah.
Like, like a movie I just bought for, like, $5, thanks to Amazon, like Creed, you know? Like, it's a fighter's story, like, in his journey to, you know, accepting who he is and, like, the things he can do. And then, like, Jessica Jones, it's a film noir, you know, slow burn against, like, you know, a guy who's one step ahead of her the whole time. And then, you know,
Exactly.
Daredevil's, it's a ninja story. It's fucking ninjas, bro.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, the theme with Kilgrave, it's very, if you're, and it's very true, because there was a lot of articles after that series came out last year where this whole idea of sexual assault and domination, male over female, those undertones, that was what carried the story, but not just the story itself, but the character herself and the tone, and it was very relatable for a lot of women to watch that show.
Yeah.
Just because, and I don't want to go into personal stuff, but maybe that's an aspect of why, that's probably why my wife liked it so much. But she was so empowering that, you know, she was so empowering, yet she was so weak. The thing with Luke is that all Luke wants to do is he wants people to shut the fuck up, and he wants to just live his life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And they nail
Yeah,
that.
for
Like,
sure.
they consistently nail their tone. Whereas on the other side of the aisle in DC, it's all over the fucking place.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you know, like, we posted the picture of Mira, of Amber Heard as Mira, and of course she's hot as all can be.
Yeah.
She looks as hot as all can be in that outfit, but it's typical Zack Snyder. It's so dark toned washed that you already know it's gonna happen again, and we're gonna have that same tone. And it's like, guys, these are superheroes. Not every single aspect has to be dark.
Yeah, like
you know.
like
Exactly.
did you watch Supergirl's premiere? I've been meaning to ask you.
But before we move on, I want to get into my review just real
Sure,
quick.
go ahead.
I will
and then
rein
we
in
can
my
get into
nerdiness.
Yeah, let's rein it in just a bit, boys. All right, so you guys are echoing a lot of points that I was gonna make. You know, I really agree with the back for you, Mr. Wartburg. I really agree that, like, I felt like, although I really liked the villain in Luke Cage, his half brother, it felt like a little weak because although, like, he was super amped up and powered up and he had all these, like, anti-Luke Cage weapons and whatnot, it still felt like it wasn't as grandiose as it could have been. And that could have been a fault because maybe the creators of the series wanted to make this more grounded. Because I did feel like this was a very, like, kind of grounded drama, and
then all
I
of
love
a
the
sudden there's a
stylization of
super suit.
everything. Exactly. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's something that that kind of turned me off to the whole part of the villain. Like, I really loved the whole "I'm not my brother's keeper" and "Yes, I am," and, like, that was really cool. I love the Abel and Cain, like the grandioseness of, like, the biblical stuff. I really enjoyed the stylization, the cinematography, and the music of Luke Cage. And oddly enough, I watched Luke Cage before I watched Daredevil and Jessica Jones. So I went Luke Cage, Daredevil, and then Jessica Jones. And even with that reverse pyramid of watching everything, I still feel like Jessica Jones is really good. Daredevil's great. And Luke Cage is also good. Like, I would say Luke Cage is almost on par with Jessica Jones in my opinion. It's like almost as good, but that weak villain in the back half of the first season kind of made it not as great as Jessica Jones. The plot's good. I love the hero story, the hero journey. Super solid. And if I could recommend this to a friend, I would. But both of you recommended it to me, so
Yeah.
there you go.
I have a feeling the way you watched it is the way I would recommend it to people, because then it'll, like, Daredevil season 2 lead directly into Iron Fist / Punisher because they're filming at the same time, and then
/ Defenders.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that sounds like the machete order for Marvel's
Yeah.
Netflix series.
What's so great about watching Luke Cage first is you get to know or learn about Clara Temple. You know, like the night nurse, as you called her, which she's not actually officially called, but, like, you get to learn about her and you know her purpose within the MCU, that you would more so in, like, watching Daredevil or Jessica Jones first. Like, you don't really get to see her a whole lot, like you said, Mr. Warburg.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel? Like, were there some, like, do you have any favorite moments of Luke Cage?
For me, it was the quote unquote origin episode where he's in the prison and he gets his powers and all of that, and then they have the nod to the old blaxploitation costume and all that, which was great. But the way the actor sold it, it was just great because you have the character, and in the beginning of that episode you find out he's in prison, who he really is, all that, but he manages to almost create you buy into those different points in his life where he's a different person, if that makes sense. Some of these guys, like with Robert Downey Jr., of course, a great legendary actor. He's a great actor, great drama actor, and he's good at bringing Tony Stark to life. But there are aspects of Robert Downey Jr. that I can't buy, and that's where he becomes this angry, violent person. Like that was probably my only problem in Civil War, was when he was off the deep end because of what was happening with the Winter Soldier. I really couldn't buy him there. With is it Coulter? I keep forgetting.
Mike Coulter.
I want to get Michael Coulter. When he every aspect of Luke Cage, whether I'm just chilling working in the barbershop, or pardon my French, I'm out to get some pussy. This guy
No,
manages to
he's
show
out to
range.
drink coffee,
Oh, he's out to
Yeah.
drink. He's out to. I'm sorry. He's out to drink coffee.
but he doesn't
The
like
guy,
coffee.
man, he has a subtle range. It's not an extreme. It's so subtle, but it's
Very
effective.
nuanced.
Yeah,
Very
very nuanced because
Yeah.
when he's in prison, he's pissed off and he's quiet, okay. But then when he becomes the ghetto prison guy and he's pissed off, you buy into that. And then angry guy, and then all of a sudden he's scared and you buy into that. And then he's hero and you buy into that. Every single shift in the character, the momentum of the character and wherever he's at, you can feel it from him. He resonates it, and that's what I really liked about the casting.
I just wish he could have been that awesome in Halo 5, but
Yeah.
that's just me. Because got Spartan Locke. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
You had to go up against Steve Downes and Master fucking Chief in your first voice acting gig. You got fucked.
Yeah.
Because he's a great actor.
If all of these TV shows, when it comes to the Infinity War double feature, if they only could pick one character from all the TV shows, I would say it would have to be Luke Cage. Not just because of his power set, because Jessica Jones has somewhat similar power set. I just think he would be a better sell.
Yeah, I
know?
could see him standing toe to toe with a lot of people on that screen.
Yeah.
And of course,
Exactly.
Phil Coulson has to come back, but that's a whole other thing.
Now, we have to have. There has to be a Coulson cameo,
Because
right?
season 4 is going to end with him taking the shield back over. You know it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. It's been 4 years. So you mean to tell me in these 4 years where the Avengers have been running around that none of them know, especially Tony Stark, that
Yeah.
Phil Coulson's alive?
Black Widow knows. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah, she probably, and that should be the thing where Coulson makes his cameo and everyone's like, "You're fucking alive," and she's like, "Yeah, I've known
Yeah,
it."
he's just like, hey, Tasha. So you want for
Yeah,
dinner
exactly.
later? Cool.
Yeah, exactly. That would be so good.
But I really think that they should have at some point another Marvel movie, like one of the movie characters in one of these Netflix shows. I think so.
Yeah.
There needs to be at least one.
Like, I think there's a few. I mean, like, hell, S.H.I.E.L.'s gotten Samuel Jackson to come on the show several times.
Twice,
So, like,
3 times.
yeah, 3 times. And once in a very extended role for the season 1 finale, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, so they have the ability to do it. I mean, obviously, they're all really busy people. Because, I mean, these are the A-list of the A-list in Hollywood, which is cool that they're all in superhero movies. And, like, they were a lot of them before they actually got their roles. But, so they're busy, but they could do it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised with these TV shows, with the Netflix series, that Brie Larson, since she's been cast, we don't have a Carol Danvers cameo. How hard is that? You can
I
just
could
throw her
see
into one
her
of
in
these
The
shows.
Punisher because of the military
Yeah.
background.
Exactly. It would just be great to have her in there for a few minutes, just so you could just tease her, and then
Yeah, have him
because
shipping out from the same base that Danvers is based at, like when he goes to Iraq for the final time or whatever.
Yep.
Like just a little nod. It'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
But I mean, I mean, you know this, just like Doctor Strange. They've said Captain Marvel is going to be an origin story. It's going to be a flat out origin
Hers,
story. So
she needs one
yeah.
because nobody knows it outside of the comic book people. Same with Doctor Strange. His is a weird one.
Yeah.
Some other ones, no, we don't need it. Like we just don't need it.
I'm very excited for Iron Fist, of course, and I am going to be excited for the
I'm
Defenders
not.
because
I don't know if I'm
I
so
think
sold on the guy playing Danny Rand.
he doesn't
only
look
seen
like
him
the
in
who
Game of
you envision
Thrones,
Danny Rand to be, though.
and we also haven't seen him in the
Which
do rag.
character?
So
Iron
char-
Fist.
Which character was he in for Game of Thrones? Do you
Dolores
remember?
Terrell.
Oh, okay.
Not to say like obviously, if he's in Game of Thrones, probably a pretty decent actor.
Yeah,
Because you don't get paid
probably.
that kind of money to be on Game of Thrones, and not be good. So
Yeah.
hopefully he can do it. I just don't know if he'll be able to sell the physicality of the character. Because like the guy could kick the shit out of Daredevil if he wanted to.
Maybe he beefed up for the role.
Well, I mean, we've seen the trailer. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like Rand's a huge character. He is a
Yeah.
ninja. It's like he's not going to be a hulking dude. I just don't know if he's going to be able to sell the like action scenes like Charlie Cox can. But it remains to be seen. Because the trailer was great, so I'm hoping it can.
Well,
it
and the
continues
action,
to work.
in regards to the action, like the fight scenes with Luke Cage, it's exactly how you imagine a bunch of normal people, everyday people, going up against a guy that's indestructible.
Yeah,
Like, they did a good job. They didn't oversell the fight scenes with him.
yeah, like
Yeah, they were very grounded.
the one
and
where
gritty.
he like takes over the gang bank That was some awesome shit with the couch. Oh,
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah, so good.
It was just really
So-
well done.
I look forward to see where they go in season 2. Once the Defenders is done and over with, that'll lay the groundwork for the upcoming seasons of the other shows. So, I wonder where they would go with Luke Cage. I really do.
Yeah, it's very.
Well, I think
like-
I think you just turned Jessica Jones and Luke Cage into the same show. I don't know if you need to
Yeah.
go 2 separate shows, because like they're so intricate, like in a lot of their characters' histories, they're always
Well,
around
especially
each other.
the backstory in the comics. I mean, they have a child together.
And they've
so
already
you would
been
think-
like
Married.
he was already in
Yeah.
her show. I just call it Alias and just it's its own show.
Yeah. Would they go that way though?
I mean, they
That
did in the
makes
comics.
sense.
Like they were just both in their own comic book. It would-
But you know, Marvel, they want to
Well,
milk
if-
as much as they can.
if
so,
Punisher gets its ball rolling, now all of a sudden they got 5 series instead of 4.
yeah.
So maybe they streamline the process a bit.
All right. When do we talk? Where is the saturation point for Marvel?
You know, I look at
We're
it.
talking about 5 series at this point.
I look at it and I don't know. Depending on the popularity of the Ghost Rider character in Agents of Shield, which he's getting good reviews, I could see a Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider story. Like, and actually,
Could you?
yeah, I totally could.
Not just what's the new
Robbie
Ghost Rider?
Reyes.
Robert. Robert. Yeah.
Like,
we
get-
wouldn't just cut to him. We'd
No,
go,
Robbie
go to
Reyes.
Johnny
You
Blaze
don't do it
first.
twice in the same couple of years, unless you're not Sony.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And
Yeah.
Fair enough.
but because Ghost Rider, there's 4 different Ghost Riders plus like the old one from the 1800s, so like 5.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Is you could start at the very
Yeah,
very
you could do
beginning
different
and do like
versions
a
of the
like
same
a
character.
western. Yeah, you
Like
could do
Tales
like
of the Ghost Rider.
Because there
Oh,
is-
that'd be so sick.
Because there is a market for the supernatural. Like they've done it for years with like Hemlock Grove and stuff like that
Yeah.
on Netflix. And like Supernatural is one of their most watched shows on Netflix. Like
Well, and that's why it was a natural progression to go to Doctor Strange to bring
Exactly.
in the magical.
there's a market for that. So maybe they go that route because that Ghost Rider is a very, especially if you play up the fact that Ghost Rider is a fallen angel and like you play up that side of his lore
Yeah.
more, that you stick with the supernatural side instead of him fighting like crime and like burning people's souls and shit.
I was never a Ghost Rider fan, honestly. It's just the comics have always failed. Like they putter along in sales and they always cancel them and bring him back. And it's just a character that I'm okay with.
I just never bought it as a like non-live action media. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a character that the splash pages look great. But like how do you make that work on the page without motion?
Yeah.
Like a lot of characters, obviously it's difficult. Otherwise, really good artists wouldn't do it. But him in particular, it's like you can't sell the scope of his power. Like this is a dude that could beat the Hulk
Yeah.
just because he's so supernaturally powerful. How do you put that on a page? Whereas I think like we have yet to really see it super well done live action. Agents of Shield is close, but I really don't like the effects of like the transformation. But
Yeah.
like the finished product is good, but the transitioning piece kind of sucks.
Is
That's probably
lackluster.
why I'm not disappointed so much, and it's a bad show, but I've been disappointed with Agents of Shield is that their special effects, when you look at what DC's able to do,
Look at the CW. They have like a third of the viewership.
Exactly.
They had a fucking T-Rex on Legends of Tomorrow tonight, and it looked goddamn great.
it's just it's some of their special effects for Agents of Shield just look really bad. to
Like-
me. And when we did the whole Inhuman plot 2 seasons ago, it was it just wasn't. I had a hard time with it. I
Yeah.
really did.
They just the only network that knows how to do special effects is CW, because they've been
Maybe
doing
it's
it
'cause they have-
since the Smallville days. Like I guarantee you, the team that did the Smallville effects, a lot of those people are still working for the CW.
less
sure
is
they
more. Like I feel like
Well,
that's what
it's
they've
more
been
just
doing
about knowing
ever
how
since
to
Smallville.
make your money work. Like
Yeah.
CW, you know they got less money, but they know how to make that shit work. Like King Shark, Gorilla Grodd, the T-Rex in Legends of Tomorrow, the Firestorm effects. Like there's some awesome damn shit going on in these shows that has no business being on the CW.
Exactly.
Like Supergirl comes to the CW, instantly a better show, just because of the fact that it's on CW and the effects are better. Like Jesus, figure
Maybe
your
it's 'cause
shit
they're
out,
not
broadcast
spending
TV.
enough Yeah, maybe it's because they're not spending enough time, like, or budget on the special effects.
Partially, and then, but when you look at the rest of their shows, they're not very VFX heavy. Like they don't have in-house talent that can do it. Whereas CW, it's over half their shows pretty VFX heavy.
Yeah, if I were Marvel, I would seriously think about pulling Agents of Shield off of ABC and working to get it on either Hulu or Netflix.
I think it would
even
do
Amazon.
Great there.
Yep.
And it was one of the first shows that did the whole, like, after 2 weeks, it's on Netflix already.
Yeah, and I really, because there's elements of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the human side of Marvel superhero. Just like the Netflix series are superheroes that are low-key, okay, that are grounded, fine. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are the human side of Marvel's universe. There's still a lot of stories that could be told from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay?
And if you get them off a TV, like a broadcast TV schedule, now people are open for movies. Because one of the biggest reasons, of course, is the scheduling between filming production on TV and filming movies. Like, they just don't line up very easily.
No, Netflix, what they do is they work them to the bone for a few weeks and they're done.
Like, do that.
That's amazing.
And all of a sudden, Coulson's free to show up in the next Captain America movie. You know, like Daisy, who's got an awesome power set, could totally show up in a movie. Because she's fucking powerful.
I'll be honest.
Hell.
I think a lot of these big build actors in the movies would be more apt to go on these shows if they were on a Hulu or Netflix because that's the trendy thing now. If you notice, the big actors are going on Netflix and they're going on Amazon.
Yeah, we
and
saw it with
Hulu
Luke
and they're
Cage.
doing shows.
You know, like there were some big names in that.
Oh yeah.
So like
it was just a great fucking show.
Yeah, and like I agree. I think if they put it there, it would do well because it's just not an ABC's niche to have that show on its broadcasting. Like Agent Carter was a great show and flopped because it just didn't hit the market for ABC.
ABC has a different demographic.
Like, Agent Carter was very CW-y, and it's like, and it played up the cheesiness but didn't overdo it. You know, like it had great leads, but you put that on like a Netflix, like as a Netflix special. You know, do it as a little mini series, just like they previously did, and everything works better.
Yeah,
I'm very happy the way Netflix, these TV shows people have embraced the TV shows on Netflix because it allows a story to be told how it should be told. Because like with Alias, with Jessica Jones and Alias, we knew, and especially, and I think we talked about this a while back, Warburg, when they announced the first season of Daredevil. I said this is the perfect place to put it. If there was ever a place, it had to be on Netflix because they cannot have a rating on it.
Yeah,
you know. That's the only way Daredevil would work. And people were like, why? It's a stupid comic book. You know, people I knew, it's silly. You know, I'm like, no, trust me. Daredevil has to be rated R because the Marvel Knights, those stories, The Man Without Fear, those were the best damn Daredevil stories. And the reason why is because they didn't hold back on the storytelling. They weren't restricted by the comics code because they had come out of that with their sub-labels. And it worked for them. And then Jessica Jones, that's how it worked. And the whole dynamic with Luke Cage and her, really you bought into it because of, and it's just silly to say it, but their whole sexual encounters early on, that's how you really buy into their characters for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. And it's the same thing with Luke Cage. I know people don't like the whole, they've taken back the blaxploitation theme and they actually made it interesting and smooth, and a lot of people don't like that. I'm okay with it because that's what the show needed to be. Because you know why? Now you're ready for the Black Panther because that's going to be an all African American or all black cast, so you're not overwhelmed by the tone.
Yeah.
You know.
And not to mention, if it's going to be set in Harlem, kind of has to be that tone.
And you know, it's funny because I heard critics that didn't like it. I'm like, what did you expect from a show that's based in Harlem? You know, what did you expect?
Yeah.
It's just like thematically and like in real life, if you went down to Harlem
and look at the world that we're in right now as they're making this show. You think that wasn't going to factor in?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Like I said, there were a few political statements and relevant current event topics that they addressed in the show. It wasn't overwhelming. Like I said, Orange is the New Black. The last season, it was
beat
like
you over the head with
it felt
ad
very
nauseum,
much like
man.
Events that, should there be superpowers right now, probably something pretty similar. Like I could see people reacting and dealing with it in very similar, relatable fashions.
Yeah. And it was it the best Marvel show? No. Was it a good show? Yes, it was. Was it? Oh my god, amazing? No.
Nah,
But
it wasn't the
but it was.
hallway scene in Daredevil.
Oh no, it
You
wasn't
say
the hallway
that,
scene.
and everyone has flashbacks to that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're talking about doing another hallway scene, and it's called a one shot
Yeah.
in Iron Fist, and I'm like, you cannot beat the one in Daredevil.
You
It was
can't.
just amazing.
It set the tone for the entire network of shows that they have.
Yeah,
And it's just one of the coolest damn things anyone's ever put to film. Not even
yeah,
lying.
it is. It is.
Like it's right
Yeah.
up there
I-
with the John McClane hand and gun tape to the back, like fucking iconic.
Iconic action moments.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep. I and like you said, the scene where he goes in and takes the drug money. I mean, it takes that place back from the thugs. That was a really good fight scene.
Yeah. But when,
It was a
when he
really
wraps
good fight
the
scene.
car door around the dude, like
Yeah.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
this. That was good.
Like there's little things you can pull the humor here and there, and for me though, Cottonmouth was a lot, and I know because he wasn't the ultimate endgame villain for the show for this season, but I didn't like him for some reason.
See, I
just-
thought he was more engaging because he actually had connections to the
Yeah.
other characters in the same time frame. Like he had history
No,
with Pops. Pops was awesome.
He did. Maybe it was the actor himself I wasn't really happy about.
I could see that. Some of his delivery was a little, I don't know, a little
Yeah, it
too
was a
on
little-
the nose.
Yeah.
Like he was a little too.
I don't know.
I'm a gangster, but I'm like,
like
I
it wasn't a natural gangster. It was I'm a gangster.
yeah, like
But
a guy putting
of
on
course
that
towards
I'm important.
Of course, towards the end of his arc with his backstory, you see that he was trying a little too hard. So maybe I'm interpreting it wrong instead of maybe that's what he was trying to get me to see. But I just felt he was a little misplaced. I did.
Yeah, I could see it. I just appreciated particularly that that memorial scene where him and Luke Cage go at it without going at it. Like
Yeah.
that is just really well done storytelling, and nobody threw a punch.
Exactly.
Whereas the main villain in the back end, it didn't get resolved until they're fighting with a super suit. It doesn't really fit in the story. It just they both had their flaws, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I really like the amphitheater. Was it a church or
It
was
was
it
a
like an
theater. It was
amphitheater
just
where
an
he
old
was?
theater.
Was it
yeah,
amphitheater?
yeah. When Luke got shot, oh, I love that scene so much.
Yeah, I didn't think you could get shot. Welcome to the club. That was good.
Yeah.
What was with Diamondback?
Yeah.
Okay, the character was fine, and yes, you knew you knew where it was heading. I mean, they telestrated everything for you, you know. The thing I agree with Warburg on this though. The end game, the last fight scene was a little weak because yes, we knew Hammer Industries from Iron Man played a role from the very beginning, but it's like, okay, you have all of this hammer tech, and then you have a fucking power suit, really?
Yeah, at least show that 2 episodes in. You know,
Yeah.
you see the glove, but
Yeah.
that just looked like something Tony made when he was 5. You know,
Yeah, it looked like
show the
just
thing.
something in a piece of R&D tech, you know, something that wasn't even officially out there, you know.
Yeah, and then
but then he comes out with the full fucking suit. Really?
Yeah, it just that turn just kind of was like, you could have set that up better, and it could have been much more believable.
Yeah.
Plus the whole so did kinetic energy not power it? Because when he didn't hit him, it died down, but then he just fucking wailed
Yeah.
on him at the end. So the suit should have
Yep.
been powered back up, right?
Yep.
Just kind of play within your own rules there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the finale, the final scene, the final confrontation, wasn't as effective as Jessica Jones.
Where it
you know?
played up on all the themes that had come before, and it all came full
Yep.
circle.
And if you were watching it and you were emotionally invested when she killed him, you're like,
Yeah,
Yes!
that show just strung you out.
Satisfying.
And then at the very
yeah,
end,
because
it's like
I'm gonna admit
fucking
about
finally.
episode 7 or 8, I was getting real frustrated. I was like, just fucking kill him already, you know? And he just kept, sliming his way through
Yeah.
every episode. At the very end, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It made you cheer for a murder. Like, yes.
It felt better than the murder where General Zod gets his neck broke, you know?
Yeah. And again, that's where TV's going to have it better. Like, you
Yeah.
can sell the emotional impact over multiple
build.
episodes versus, an hour once the characters first meet. Like,
Yeah.
And overall, that's like what comics do anyway with
Exactly.
multiple
Yes.
issues. They build.
They
so
build.
It only makes sense.
so like superhero
Yep.
movies, I don't know. I wish DC would just be like, you know what? We fucked up. Let's just dump all our money in the CW, build that network up, and oh hey fuck, you want the Andy monitor for Crisis on Infinite Earths? Go fucking nuts, because they're basically fucking going there. And
Yeah.
like with the whole Dr. Alchemy poking holes in the timelines and the realities, and how
Yep.
awesome would it be if he's actually
Yeah.
working for the anti-monitors? Fucking awesome.
Well, I think that we're gonna tie this up here, gentlemen.
Good,
do you
because
have
I need to
any-
ask
before-
Fusion a question, then I gotta go watch the Blacklist.
Okay, before we tie it up, do you guys have anything you want to promote, Mr. Fusion?
I do a sports podcast. It's called Cap Casualties. It's capcasualties.podbean.com. You can go to Twitter at Cap Casualties, and we try to release one every week, but little things come here and there. We're actually revising our schedule, so we're trying to post them. We're going to start recording earlier in the week, so we can post them on Wednesdays. I'm finding doing it on the weekends is not very it's not interesting to me when I listen to them back. So that's pretty much where you can just go to Google and type in Cap Casualties Podcast, and you'll find everything about us. Where to sign up. We're on iTunes, Google Play Store, all of it.
And there'll be a link in the
It's a
description
dope.
below.
It's a
And
dope
for you-
podcast. If you like sports, go watch it or listen to it.
Yeah.
For sure. And for you, Mr. Warper?
Oh, a lot of different things. One of the things I failed to mention on the TFT podcast last night. You should go check out that too, people. I started doing TV reviews on my website. I just launched that. The website's a work in progress, but the reviews are all like functional. So I'm reviewing basically all the comic book broadcast TV shows. None of the Netflix stuff, just because it's overdone. And I'm just emotionally just like dead by the time I finish binging it. I don't want to review it. But I do Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I have to write my Legends of Tomorrow review. But they're currently all up to date. It's
Awesome.
at mrwarprig.weebly.com because it's the free one. I didn't pay for my URL. My sister's
Bless you.
sneezing in the background. Hopefully we can clean that up. If not, hi Allison.
And there will be a link in the description
Yeah.
for your website as
Also,
well,
a
Mr.
couple
Warper.
weekly Let's Plays, vlog series, streams. I do
You're a busy man.
woodworking projects. Yeah, I stay busy.
All right. And thank you guys so much for joining us for making the rounds, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.